I, 26F, and my husband John, 28M, have been living in my parents' house after moving from our NYC apartment 9 months ago. The situation wasn't supposed to be like this. John and I had a good life in the city. He worked in finance while I ran a small but successful babysitting business. We had a cozy one-bedroom apartment that was expensive but manageable with both our incomes. Everything changed when John's company went through massive layoffs. His entire department was cut, and despite his experience, finding a similar position in NYC during a hiring freeze was impossible. His unemployment checks weren't enough to cover our $3,200 rent, and my babysitting income barely covered utilities and groceries. My mom Ariadne, 52F, initially seemed like our saving grace. She and my dad Thomas, 55F, own several properties, including 4 single-bedroom apartments in another state that they use as Airbnbs. When I called her crying about our situation, she immediately offered us one of these apartments. They also have another house in NY where we could have stayed, but my dad's severe cat allergy made that impossible. We have 2 cats, Luna and Milo, who we've had since they were kittens. They're family to us, and giving them up was never an option. The apartment she gave us was small but nice. John found a new job at a local company, though the pay was less than his NYC salary. Then my mom mentioned they needed help managing their restaurant in the same town since they weren't physically there. John offered to help, thinking it would show our gratitude. He ended up basically running the entire place, handling money, managing employees, doing inventory, everything. They didn't pay him for this work, but we felt indebted to them for the free housing, so he didn't complain. When I got planned, we'd been trying for a while, things got complicated. The nearest hospital was an hour away, and the only OBGYN in town had a 6-month waiting list for new patients. I still had Fidelis Care insurance in NY that covered everything, so I started flying back monthly for appointments. During these trips, I stayed at my parents' NY house while John stayed back with the cats and managed the restaurant. As my pregnancy progressed, the monthly flights became more difficult. By my 6th month, both my doctor and John were concerned about me traveling so much. We decided we needed to move back to NY before the baby came. I also wanted my mom's help during the first few months with the baby. She'd always promised to be there for me when I had children. We found a decent apartment in Queens and got approved, but the upfront costs were insane, $7,000 including first month, last month, security deposit, and broker fees for a 17-month lease. While discussing this with my mom, she suggested a better option. She said her friend who works at a bank told her about this first-time homebuyer program that helps with down payments. She offered to supplement whatever the program didn't cover, saying it would be better to buy than waste money on rent. The catch was we needed to stay at her house while applying for and going through the program, which could take a few months. The apartment we were approved for wouldn't wait that long, but Mom insisted this was a better long-term plan. When I worried about our cats, she promised to take care of them herself since she needed to be at the rental property anyway to oversee the restaurant. I specifically told her multiple times that the cats were non-negotiable. Luna has anxiety issues and needs special food, and Milo requires daily medication for his thyroid. She assured us she understood and would follow their care routine exactly as we wrote it down. She even sent daily pictures the first week to show they were doing fine. Everything seemed perfect until last week. My mom came into my room while I was resting, being 7 months pregnant is exhausting, and announced that we needed to move out within 2 weeks. Just like that, no discussion. Her sister Rachel, 49F, was getting divorced and needed a place to stay with her 2 kids, 15F and 17M. Mom said they needed our room because family has to help family in crisis. When I reminded her about the homebuyer program and her promises, she got angry. She said we were taking too long and she couldn't support us forever. John immediately offered to pay rent until we found a place, even offering above market rate, but she refused. She said Rachel's need was greater than ours. Then she casually mentioned, as if it was nothing, that she had given our cats away to a nice family because they were too much work. She didn't consult us, didn't call, didn't even try to find out if we wanted to make other arrangements. She just gave away our pets like they were old furniture. When I started crying, she told me I was being hormonal and ungrateful, that I needed to grow up and focus on the baby instead of those animals. John is beyond furious. Not only did she give away our cats without permission, but she's also trying to kick us out after he spent months running her restaurant for free. He worked his regular 9-to-5 job and then spent every evening and weekend at the restaurant, handling everything from employee schedules to banking. He never complained because we thought we were working toward buying a house with their help. Now we're about to be homeless at 7 months pregnant, our cats are gone, and all our savings went to prepping for the baby because we believed my mom's promises about helping with housing. I don't know what to do. John wants to demand payment for his work at the restaurant, but I'm scared that will make things worse. My dad won't get involved, saying we need to work it out with Mom. I feel betrayed and terrified about what's going to happen to us. Update 1: The past week has been absolute chaos. After my last post, John and I spent every waking moment searching for both apartments and our cats. We stayed in my parents' house during this time, but the tension was unbearable. My mom kept making passive-aggressive comments about how we needed to hurry up and find a place because Rachel would arrive soon. Finding our cats became our first priority. John posted their pictures in every local Facebook group he could find, and I spent hours calling shelters in the area. Finally, 3 days ago, someone in a pet-related Facebook group recognized Luna and Milo. They had seen them on a free Cats to Good Home post in a different group. Through some intense social media detective work, we tracked down the family who had them. They live 4 hours away in a small town. When John first called them, they were hostile. According to them, my mom had said we abandoned the cats because we were having a baby and didn't want them anymore. She told them I was an irresponsible pet owner who neglected them, and she was trying to find them a better home before we potentially harmed them. The family, being animal lovers, believed they were saving our cats from a bad situation. John drove there immediately to explain everything. He took all our vet records, photos of us with the cats, and even their prescription medications to prove they were ours. Thankfully, the family turned out to be understanding once they heard the full story. They were actually angry at my mom for lying to them. They had noticed that Milo seemed sick and were worried because they didn't know about his thyroid condition. Luna had stopped eating because they didn't know about her special food requirements. We got our cats back, but now we had nowhere to keep them. No relatives would take us in with pets, and my mom had made it clear we needed to be out of her house immediately. We ended up checking into a pet-friendly extended stay hotel that costs $120 per night. It's destroying our savings, but we couldn't leave our cats again. Then yesterday, my Aunt Rachel called me out of the blue. She was confused because her friend had mentioned something about her moving in with my mom. Rachel had no idea what she was talking about. She and her kids moved in with her best friend right after the divorce papers were filed last month. They have a 2-year lease and no plans to go anywhere. She had never asked to stay with my mom and was shocked that my mom was using her as an excuse to kick us out. I confronted my mom about this lie, and that's when everything really exploded. After denying it for an hour, she finally admitted the truth. Her friend Nancy wants to rent our room on Airbnb during the upcoming tourist season. Apparently, they can charge $300 per night during peak times. My mom figured she could make more money from short-term rentals than by helping her pregnant daughter. But that wasn't even the worst revelation. One of the restaurant employees, Mark, called John in a panic. He said my mom has been telling everyone that she had to get rid of us because John was stealing money from the restaurant. She's been spreading this story to relatives and local business owners, claiming she caught him taking cash from the register but decided not to press charges because I'm pregnant. She's using this lie to justify kicking us out and to explain why John isn't managing the restaurant anymore. John immediately pulled all his bank records and even got copies of the security camera footage from his time at the restaurant. He has proof he never took anything, but the damage is already done. Several of our relatives have already called to express their disappointment in him, and he's worried this rumor could affect his current job if it spreads further. I also decided to investigate the homebuyer program story. I called my mom's banker friend myself, and he was completely confused. He hadn't spoken to my mom in over a year, and the last time they talked was about refinancing one of her properties. He knew nothing about any first-time homebuyer program. The whole thing was a complete fabrication to stop us from taking that apartment we qualified for. Now that place is gone, and current rental prices are even higher than they were a month ago. My dad finally responded to our calls, but only to tell us we're breaking your mother's heart with our greed and selfishness. He knows about the lies regarding Rachel and the banker, but he's still defending Mom. He said we should be grateful for all they've done for us and that spreading rumors about my mom is unforgivable. The only family member on our side is my younger brother Mike, 24M. He moved out at 18 and barely keeps in contact with our parents. He always said Mom was manipulative and Dad was her enabler, but I never really understood what he meant until now. He offered to help us look for apartments, but he lives in a tiny studio so he can't take us in. John is beyond furious about the theft accusations. He wants to sue my parents for defamation and unpaid wages for all his work at the restaurant. He's already talked to a lawyer who says we have a case. I understand his anger. His reputation is being ruined by these lies, but I'm so exhausted. I'm 7 months pregnant, living in a hotel, and just found out my mother would rather rent my room to strangers than help her own daughter. My doctor says my blood pressure is concerning and all this stress isn't good for the baby. But how am I supposed to stay calm when my own parents are destroying our lives like this? The only silver lining is that we got our cats back, and despite everything, John has been my rock through all of this. Update 2: My brother Mike has been our saving grace through all of this. While helping us apartment hunt, he started noticing strange things about my mom's recent behavior. He discovered she lost almost $400,000 in some online crypto investment scheme about 3 months ago. She kept it completely hidden from everyone, even my dad. This explains why she's suddenly obsessed with making extra money. She's trying to recover her losses before anyone finds out. The whole situation with the Airbnb makes more sense now. She wasn't just being cruel by kicking us out, she's desperate for cash flow. The tourist season in our area can bring in serious money, and she's trying to convert every possible space into short-term rentals. But the real bombshell came from Nancy, my mom's friend. After seeing how bad things had gotten, Nancy felt guilty and confessed everything to Mike. The whole homebuyer program story was part of an elaborate scheme. My mom planned to use our good credit and first-time buyer status to get a house, then somehow pressure us to move out and let her take over. She figured she could bully us into it once we were financially committed. She told Nancy that pregnant women will agree to anything if they're desperate enough. The employee who warned John about the theft accusations, Mark, got fired last week. But before he left, he made copies of all the restaurant's recent paperwork. Turns out my mom had been keeping 2 sets of books, one showing the real numbers and another with manipulated figures. She was using John as a scapegoat to hide her own financial mismanagement. The real books actually show that under John's management, the restaurant had its most profitable quarter in 5 years. We're still stuck in the extended stay hotel, but Mike finally convinced his landlord to let us temporarily stay in his spare room. It's cramped, basically a converted closet, but it's better than spending $3,600 a month on the hotel. Our cats are adjusting surprisingly well to the small space. The biggest change came when my dad discovered Mom's financial secrets. Someone from the investment company called their home phone about recovering the lost funds, and he picked up. They had a massive fight that the neighbors could hear. He finally called us to apologize, admitting that Mom has had a gambling problem for years that he tried to help her hide. He kept hoping she would get better on her own, but instead, she just got better at hiding it. John took all our evidence, the real books, the fake books, Mark's testimony, the security footage, and proof of his unpaid work, to a lawyer. The lawyer said we have a strong case against my parents for defamation, unpaid wages, and possible financial fraud. He helped us file a police report to protect ourselves, saying we need an official record in case my mom tries to blame more things on John. The stress has been affecting my pregnancy significantly. My blood pressure won't stabilize, and the doctor is worried about preeclampsia. I'm now having twice-weekly checkups instead of the usual monthly visits. John has been handling everything, the legal stuff, the apartment hunting, taking care of me and the cats, all while working his regular job. There might be some hope for our housing situation though. John found an apartment about an hour outside the city. It's farther than we wanted, but the rent is actually affordable and they accept pets. The commute would be rough, but at this point, we just need stability before the baby comes. My mom keeps trying to contact us through different numbers and new social media accounts, switching between threats and tearful apologies. She even showed up at John's workplace once, causing a scene about how we're destroying the family. His boss was understanding thankfully, especially after hearing about the missing wages from the restaurant. Mike says he's not surprised by any of this. Apparently, she pulled similar stunts with his college fund years ago, which is why he moved out so young. I feel stupid for not seeing the pattern sooner, but I guess I wanted to believe she had changed. The hardest part is knowing this isn't just about money anymore. Even if she somehow recovered all her losses tomorrow, I don't think I could ever trust her again. She was willing to make her pregnant daughter homeless and destroy her son-in-law's reputation just to cover her own mistakes. That's not something you can just forgive and forget. Final update: a lot has changed since my last post. We moved into an apartment about an hour from the city. The commute is long but manageable, and more importantly, we're finally stable. The landlord turned out to be incredibly understanding about our situation and even waived the pet deposit for our cats after hearing what happened. Our daughter Emma was born healthy last month, despite all the stress during pregnancy. I ended up needing an emergency C-section due to preeclampsia, but we both recovered well. The cats have become surprisingly protective of her. Luna sleeps next to her crib, and Milo follows me whenever I carry the baby. The situation with my parents took several unexpected turns. Mom's attempts to blame everything on their accountant backfired spectacularly. He had kept detailed records of every time she instructed him to create fake books, including emails and recorded phone conversations. When the police got involved because of potential tax fraud, He handed everything over to save himself. My dad finally filed for divorce after discovering Mom had gambled away $380,000 of their retirement savings. He sold the restaurant to one of their long-term employees, ironically, Mark's cousin, and moved in with my uncle. He's been trying to rebuild a relationship with us, sending baby gifts and apologetic letters. I'm not ready for that yet. His years of enabling Mom's behavior caused too much damage. Mark, the employee who helped expose Mom's lies, landed a management position at a larger restaurant chain. He gave John a glowing reference, which helped counter any damage from Mom's theft accusations. John's new job actually pays 30% more than his old NYC position, and his company is talking about promoting him to department head next year. Mike helped us compile a detailed timeline of Mom's gambling habits and investment losses going back 5 years. We discovered she had already lost 3 other properties, which explains her desperate attempt to use us to get a new one. She's still playing the victim with relatives, claiming we fabricated everything to hurt her, but the evidence is too solid for anyone to believe her anymore. The recordings Nancy sent us of Mom planning to steal our future house weren't needed for legal purposes since we didn't pursue the lawsuit. The ongoing police investigation made it unnecessary. But those recordings helped convince several family members who were still on the fence about the situation. Last week, Mom showed up at our apartment unannounced, demanding to see her granddaughter. She hasn't changed at all. She tried guilt-tripping me about keeping a grandmother from her only grandchild and then threatened to sue for grandparents' rights when I refused to let her in. The police escorted her away, and we're now in the process of getting a restraining order. I blocked her on everything after that incident. It's clear she still sees us as things to manipulate rather than people to love. She views Emma as just another tool to regain control, and I won't let my daughter be used like that. Our lawyer says her legal threats are empty. She has no case for grandparents' rights, especially with her documented history. Life is quieter now, and honestly better. John's job is going well, the cats have settled into our new home, and Emma is thriving. Some days I still feel sad about losing my parents, but then I look at my daughter and know I made the right choice. She deserves better than a grandmother who sees her as a pawn and a grandfather who would stand by and let it happen. I've learned that sometimes the best family is the one you choose, not the one you're born into. Mike visits regularly, John is an amazing father, and our little unit is happy. Sometimes cutting ties is the healthiest choice you can make.